Okay, so listing the treatments. I'm going to show you kind of shorthand stuff with this about how you can list treatments out without writing out 100 words. How many treatments do we have? Or how many factors do we have? Two. I know Krista wrote it like this. Krista, how did you write your treatments out?
I put like the chart name, put like the treatment
number. And your first one was?
Treatment number.
What'd you do here?
Nutrients.
And
then the salinity level.
So at this point, she can sit here and say, well, which way did you do it? What did you put here?
I put like the A, just going out ABC.
So you did ABC, ABC?
Yeah.
Okay. And then at that point, which one did you start with?
Low.
So this is a lot less words. It's low and high, right, for this problem?
Yeah.
Okay. This is a lot less words than like physically writing out all 6 of them. And now the best part is what? I can just refer to them as treatment 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So anytime you have multiple factors, I would pretty much always suggest doing something like this to where you can shorthand it to be able to refer to it later and write a whole lot less words than treatment 1 is nutrient A with salinity level low, and then nutrient B, and so forth. So I would suggest like this. As many years as I've taught this, for the first time I just saw something that said you could do it as a 2x2 table. So technically I guess you could do 2x3. Salinity level. And I thought that was interesting, but I've never seen that before. You would just have to specify that these are the treatment numbers. But that's another way to do the exact same thing, just with a whole lot less writing. And I don't care any of that. Just make sure it's very clear what you're doing. All right. So definitely take time to shorthand stuff, especially if the AP exam, if one of their questions is just, hey, list the treatments, you're probably going to need to refer to it later. So doing a key would help, which you end up needing it in part B here. Let's do part B last. Give one statistical advantage to having only tiger shrimp in the experiment. This is basically like one of our homework problems. What is one statistical advantage to having only tiger shrimp? So don't say the results will be more accurate, but you're saying the right thing. What's another way I can say that? So I'm going to have less what?
Variation.
You're going to have less variation from something like shrimp breed, or shrimp type, whatever. So that is, we are doing what word there? What vocab word? Only using tiger shrimp is a method of control. So we are controlling for that lurking variable. So we are trying to eliminate a lurking variable being the type of shrimp. What is one statistical disadvantage to having only tiger shrimp? Can't generalize whatever results you have to the entirety of shrimp. You don't know how it impacts other types of shrimp. You only know how it impacts tiger shrimp. So just trying to get familiar with AP grading again. Kind of introducing this to you pieces at a time here. 2000. 2000. Say 2006 on top of yours. Say 2006, 2006 Form B. Say, okay. And what problem is it? All right, so they just show the chart here for A. I'm going to skip over B. So using only tiger shrimp will reduce a source of variation in the experimental units. Their grading is you get an essentially correct if you said the statistical advantage of reducing variability and an appropriate explanation that relates reduced variability to increasing the likelihood of determining the differences, which is what you guys were talking about. I think that's a very strange, not specific written part there. So what is D? The statistical disadvantage is the limited scope of inference, so who we can apply it to. An explanation that the different species of shrimp may respond differently to treatments is provided. This is where you start to realize how picky the AP exam is. Did it tell you anything that you needed to write that? And if you didn't put it, it would only give you partial credit. So why, when we do generalizability, why do results only apply to a small group like volunteers? Because volunteers are different and might.
Wouldn't that not, if we're only using tiger shrimp, wouldn't that not explain the different species respond differently because we wouldn't have any?
You're saying so you would say we can't apply results to other types of shrimp. Why? Because we don't know how other types of shrimp would respond. And so this is saying because we don't know how other types of shrimps would respond. That one is very specific about what they want. And this one, I feel like that's kind of vague with the grading rubric, the way it's written. All right, so back to where I was trying to give out candy. Yes.
I was just thinking about this. I think it's point out what would the experimental units be on this?
That's the thing I want to point out. That is the thing I was looking for. So let's work backwards. What is our response variable?
Our response variable.
Growth of shrimp. How many? We already talked about treatments. We have two factors, 3 levels and 2 levels. So total of how many treatments? 6. What is the definition that I wrote of experimental units? Smallest measure to which the treatments are applied. So my first treatment of nutrient A and salinity level low, who or what do I apply that to? The tank. So what are our experimental units? The 12 tanks. So at the beginning, on the left side of your diagram, it should say 12 tanks, or tanks, n equals 12. So I understand why you had issues with the experimental units part. But that's why this is one of those that's super, super nitpicky that a lot of people probably would have missed on the actual AP exam because of that.
Where do we redirect that in B?
No, so when you're doing your design of your experiment, yes, in part B. So in part B, where do you start your design? And so here it would be, and
we were supposed to make it there?
And I would actually be more specific, say tanks of what? How many? This would be a super specific answer. And then underneath it, that tanks is technically all you need because it's applied to the tank whether the shrimp are in there or not. But this is the part where it makes sense to people if they didn't understand why we were doing 12 instead of 120. So questions that are part of what I just heard a little bit of y'all saying. How in the world do I know to do this? What wording tells me to start with my diagram? Anytime it says describe, design, diagram, that means go straight to the two pieces, the diagram and the written portion of what? The random assignment. So using the treatment system, part A, describe a completely randomized design. Now technically, there are people, you can technically do this. I can describe this entire design fully in words and never draw a diagram. And that is still the exact same thing. I don't see the point in that, but you can do it. So, what kind of experimental design is this one? Completely randomized. So I go straight from here to where? Random assignment. Now, how many do I branch out to from here?
6.
Now, 6 is doable. If you get above 6, kind of like the ... thing is reasonable. So only because I did this, I can now say treatment 1. If you write treatment 1 and you never had a key like this, I won't give you any credit for it. So treatment 1, what do I need to write with treatment 1? And how many are going to be there? 2, because I have 12 tanks, which is what you're asking about. So that means I have 2 of each treatment. And you had written this, you just hadn't written that part yet. And then so treatment 2, N2 equals 2, and so forth all the way down to treatment 6. What do I do with them at the end? Bring them back together. And what am I going to write?
Compare the shrimps.
And I want to show being picky here. Get used to circling, highlighting, underlining, whatever. It's usually going to give you word for word stuff like that. So I would, I hate reading, I'm not good at reading. I only want to read once. So while I'm reading, I'm going to do this and write something like response. So I don't have to go back and reread my whole thing and say, now what was my response? So get in the habit of marking while you read. So you're doing things like this. And then it'll usually give you exact wording to use. So it just said growth of shrimps. So right here, I'm literally writing growth of shrimps.
Is shrimp not shrimp farm? Like, look at all this shrimp.
I don't know.
It's
a good question.
shrimps
I don't know.
It says tiger shrimps.
I mean, I've never said shrimps.
I don't think I ever said shrimps either, but I didn't think about it when I wrote it down. That's interesting. What do I need past that?
between different salinity levels.
And I'm trying to not write out. Technically, treatments is still fine. Water treatments, does that make sense? Okay. That's like a generic for the whole application.
And how do you know if you're writing between or within?
When do you write between?
When it's same.
When it's completely randomized versus say when you're doing within is when it blocks. So just like how I made a big deal about the first half of the chapter with cluster stratified, it's the same concept. Alright, so here, now, none of your random assignment processes are gonna be correct, except maybe yours, depending on how far you got. Because you started with 120. So let's just talk through this. I've said this a little bit. If it says to write theoretically what you would do and don't do it, what I suggest is your best path to go. Names and a half. Now, these are tanks, so we're not gonna have like names of tanks. So what could I do to what do I put in the half? 1 through 12. So how do I associate 1 through 12 with tanks? So assign each tank a unique number. I would want something in there like order the tanks from left to right in the room or something. So that you know, so it's specific of how you chose to number it 1 through 12. So you're numbering the tank, you're putting the tanks in order, you're giving them each a unique number. Written part thinking through here, I've got 12 numbers in a hat, now what? Draw one without looking, mixing it up.
One at a time.
Mix it up one at a time.
And take out the ones.
Okay, so now when I'm taking it out, what do I write as my instructions?
Draw two. Draw one at a time. Two.
Draw one at a time. The first two go in,
Or assign treatment one.
assign to treatment one, and you could just say the next two, treatment two, ... until each treatment has two. And you can reduce a lot of your wording there. Another way that I've seen people write this is draw one at a time, assigning I'm trying to think of it, I'm saying it in more words than I need to. Like, the first number I get is treatment one, the second number I get is treatment two, all the way through to 6, and then when you start back over, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you can explain it that way too if you'd rather do it that way. So you're like alternating treatments for everyone you pick and continue until each treatment has 2. That's just different wording, same thing. Questions overall about this problem? So this problem discussed a lot of things, discussed the advantages, disadvantages, just like the homework. When we know to do this, and one of those funny one about experimental units and how it usually helps to make your key for your treatment. Questions about anything this problem made you think about?